So it's a very polarizing topic for sure.
Right.
But so I'm not going to be in either one camp. I'm a little on that side and a little on that side. So I'm going to be right in the middle. I'm going to be Switzerland.
It is hot down here in Florida, and one of the hot topics at ICAST this week was the new kayaks coming out. And are they pushing the limits of becoming a boat? Now this question comes up every time something new is released. We started with paddles, then we went to pedals. The same question was asked. Then we added a motor. Now we have kayaks coming out that have the capability to add 2 motors, or a front deck up front that you can walk around on, or just a lot more space for what we're trying to do out there. So I went to ICAST with the goal of speaking to people in the industry, kayak designers, tournament directors, motor producers, and get their opinion of when is a kayak and when is a kayak a boat. All right, we are here with Mike Iaconelli, and the question of the week is when is a kayak and when does a kayak become a boat?
Yeah, it's a great question, and what a great week to ask that question. You know, the first day at ICAST, you go to the on-the-water demo, and you get to see with your own eyes this blurry world that we've entered in that arena, right? So I'll answer it 2 ways. I think the best way to answer it is answer it 2 ways. So, you know, the one is you have a lot of purists, you know, that see these changes happening and are shielding from it, right? They don't like it. And I totally get it. You know, I totally get that, because in the beginning for me, part of the allure of kayak fishing, or canoe fishing even, right, was that I was on the water with a paddle. It was me against the fish with no electronics and no big stuff and no gasoline and no trailer and no noise of the world. You know, being a kid in a canoe, I remember those experiences, right? That's the purest view. And I can relate to that, because a beauty of kayak fishing is to just be out there with a paddle and you against the fish, at the fish's level, and I get that. The other half to that is, you know, how do you get more people involved in the sport, and how do you create a fishing platform that more people want to use? And that's where you see this hybrid design coming, right? Where you have John boat anglers influencing the kayak world, or big boat anglers coming in and saying, well, why not do this? And you're seeing different hulls, and you're seeing trolling motors, and you're seeing platforms that are unique and different and strange. And I get that too, because from that perspective, I get it. And I want more people fishing. So if you're attracting people to the sport that can only spend $5,000 but want that platform, get them in the sport. We want more participants, right? So it's a very polarizing topic for sure.
Right.
But so I'm not going to be in either one camp. I'm a little on that side and a little on that side. So I'm going to be right in the middle. I'm going to be Switzerland.
All right.
On this topic.
So a follow-up question.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
A hot dog is not a sandwich. No,
Okay.
I don't think a hot dog's a sandwich, because a sandwich requires bread, and you don't have to eat a hot dog with bread. If you're from New Jersey, see, you know, you call them a lot of different things. You call them Coney Island, you know, a Coney Island, a Coney dog, you know. So a hot dog a lot of times does not require bread, so that makes it not a sandwich.
All right, we're here with Hans with Bonafide, and the question of the day is, when is a kayak and when does a kayak become a boat?
That seems to be the question, doesn't it? You know, it depends on if you're an angler that wants to fish from a small boat, or an angler that wants to fish from a big kayak. But I don't know, what's it to you? I kind of like both. I like both.
I do, and I'm not discriminating either way,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a hot topic, right? Because we have kayak tournaments that you have to be defined as a kayak, and we're pushing the limits here, right, with having multiple motor hookups, and nobody allows that yet, and maybe that's a thing of the future, not just the recreational fishermen. But
I love it. I call all of our kayaks boats as well. They're all boats to me.
Okay.
And so I kind of let everybody else decide.
Okay.
You can decide if you like it as a kayak. I can paddle this thing, so to me it's a kayak. But if you're coming from another world, you know, this is a boat. So
right. All right. Second question.
Okay, hit me.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
And then this is going to be standing.
No.
All right, so we've got another familiar face in the kayak world, Steve Owens, Dugout Bait and Tackle, also our leader for the Bassmaster Kayak Series. So the question of the week, Steve, is when is a kayak, and when does a kayak become a boat?
That's wow. That's a doozy of a question, and it's one that I don't really have the right wording to put into it. But what I do know that it's a question that we all, as a community, should probably look further into as we go forward with the evolution and the invention of new kayaks, SUPs, and other things. Motors, you know, are a big part of our sport now. So I think we all as a group and a community need to put our heads together and probably, you know, come up with a solution or an answer for this question that you have. And I'd like to see the manufacturing work a little more closely with tournament entities if you can. I understand things are secretive nature, and we can respect all of that, but I feel like we all need to probably start looking at what's coming down the pipe as far as manufacturing and modifications of kayaks, is what we'll call them. Fishing platforms is probably a better word where we're at now. But I think we really need to do that so that we can all just create the playing field that's recognizable across the board, where we can have some standardization, maybe, if that's the right word for it. Start getting some things together where we have a little more legitimacy on our lighting for kayaks as you navigate with motors, come out with some standardization there. We're a big DIY sport, kayaking is, but sometimes the DIY doesn't answer the question of what you're actually needing out of that safety device. It just checks a box, but it's not practical for you on the water. But to circle back around to the kayak, boat, fishing platform, SUP thing, really no clear definition out there that I can think of. That it's a process that we work through off of each vessel. I wish there were a better answer, a more of a black and white, but we don't have a rule book for everything. But this is one that's pretty important, and I think we got to start working pretty hard and fast to figure that out. So.
All right, so a follow-up question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
All right, we are here with Gene Jensen. A lot of people know him as Fluke Master. The question of the week is a kayak, when is a kayak, and when does a kayak a boat?
Actually, I honestly believe it depends on the angler themselves. It's up to them. You know, I call a kayak a boat. I've always called a kayak a boat. When I rig it up like I used to rig up electric boats. You know, there comes a point in time where you have to make that decision yourself. And so you got a lot of people that say this thing's a boat. It's the same size and same width and length as another kayak that they call a kayak. You know, so people are going to call this a boat and call that a kayak, but they're the same size. It's just all up to them. You know, I'm not going to judge people one way or the other. Just go fishing and enjoy it. So, and I just about got hit in the head with a drone.
All right, my follow-up question is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Never.
Never?
At least I don't think so. Because I don't eat the bread. I just eat the hot dog. So.
All right, we're here with Blake Young with New Canoe, and the question of the week is, when is a kayak, and when does a kayak become a boat?
It's a good question, Alan. I mean, for New Canoe, when we started in 2006, people would look at our kayak canoe and didn't know what to make of it. I mean, it was 42 inches wide and way bigger than anything else on the market. And now the market's kind of coming our direction. There's a lot of really, big kayaks or small boats, whatever way you want to look at it. I mean, for me, I think it's a kayak if it's something that can be like legitimately paddled. Like if you can grab a paddle and go out and have a good day on it, it's a kayak. If it's not, it's probably more, I wouldn't even call it a boat, maybe a fishing craft. But I truly think that in our market today, you know, there's canoes, there's kayaks, and then we're all kind of in a space I just call like fishing craft, because it really isn't a canoe, it really isn't a kayak, but it's that small vessel that gives you a lot of the features and benefits of a canoe or kayak, but it's really oriented towards fishing instead of paddling.
Okay.
So that's my way to kind of, you know, walk the tightrope there, but it's cool to see how the market's evolved and how it has gone from putting fishing rod holders on a kayak to creating, you know, watercraft that really suit anglers and allow them to get on the water and do what they want to do, which is fish rather than paddle.
All right. The follow-up question, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? No.
All right, we are here with Dwayne Wally, owner and manager, CEO of Attorney X. So the question of the week has been, when is a kayak and when does a kayak become a boat?
So for me, and I'll go back to 2013 when I first started in the kayak industry, we were at the basics, you know, just paddle, kayak, and life jacket. That was it. And that, to me, that was when kayaks were kayaks, okay? But how we've evolved in this whole industry. So for me, I used to fish out of bass boats when I was growing up, okay? So for me to go back to my roots, which was bass boat fishing, I still wanted to do that. And I think with all these new accessories, motors, fish finders, depth finders, what do you want to call them, active targets or forward-facing sonar, whatever, these new accessories have driven the market, basically putting us right back in the situation we were in. We just talked about this. So are we still in a kayak or are we in a boat? I mean, we all had 14-foot John boats, aluminum John boats. I had one, you know, that was a boat, considered a boat. It's not considered a kayak in our industry, it's considered a boat. But we're running around in a 14-foot PA, completely loaded out with $10,000 or $13,000, $14,000 worth of equipment on it. So I actually would consider it being a boat. I hate to say it, but it is. Or at least our pocketbooks seem to think it is.
Right.
But it's kind of like wanting your cake and eating it too. You want to still be in a kayak to say, look me, I'm in a kayak. But yet you want all the cake too. You know what I'm saying? You want all the accessories. And we become consumed by all that. It's not a bad thing, guys. This is not, I get the question. It's not a bad thing. And I'm right there with you. I've got the same accessories. I've got the same stuff that some of you guys have. I enjoy it. I love it. But yeah, that's my answer. I mean, I guess to say it's a boat, yes, it's a boat to some extent.
All right.
But we're still in the plastic kayak market.
All right. So here's my follow-up question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, crap. No, a hot dog is not a sandwich.
Hot dog is not a sandwich.
But I guess it could be. It's a piece of meat around two pieces of bread.
But if it's a bun, it's a single.
Oh, yeah, it was a single bun. So no, a hot dog is not a sandwich.
All right. Now I'm here with Howie with Newport. So the question of the week is, when is a kayak still a kayak, and when does a kayak become a boat?
To me, there's a few factors. I think that, you know, a lot of the traditional kayak anglers say that when you add this electric propulsion outboard to a kayak, it's not kayak fishing anymore. And my answer to that is it's an evolved version of kayak fishing. Every sport and all the equipment in any sport on earth evolves and changes. I would say that when kayak fishing or a kayak becomes a boat is when you have to put it on a trailer to get it in and out of the water and use it. And so that's my simple answer.
Okay. So I have a follow-up question for you.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, a sandwich has flat meat in the middle.
All right, we are here with AJ, familiar face to a lot of people in the kayak world and the Hobie world. So the question of the week is, when is a kayak and when does a kayak become a boat?
Well, I think that's a really loaded question. It's really all over the place. Kayaks range, they always have in their entire existence. Boats range as well. A kayak is a boat. A type of boat, a type of way to get people on the water. And we all have different needs, we all have different body sizes, we all have different places that we like to fish. Fortunately for all of us, there's a wide range of sizes, shapes, styles, and ways to get on the water, whether you call it a kayak or you call it a boat. It doesn't have to be defined. It doesn't have to be exactly one thing. What works for one person doesn't work for the other person. And luckily we have a lot of great brands, a lot of great innovative companies creating products that push the limits of what some people think might be a kayak or might be a boat, ultimately helping more people get on the water to catch more fish the way that they like to do it. Total PC answer, but the reality is that's the industry. It's not defined. There isn't a law or rule about what is this or what is that. And as you can see with the way this industry's gone over the last few years as well as the last 20 years, kayaks are a lot of different things and they're going to continue to evolve, and that's an amazing thing about our sport.
All right, so follow-up question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Well, I mean, it could be. I think that's another thing. You got meat between two pieces of bread. If it's a sandwich, you can call it a sandwich. If it's a glizzy, you want to call it a glizzy. It can be whatever we want it to be, but we got some Nathan's hot dogs down here. I know it's going to be my lunch for one of these days. So whatever you want to call it, however you want to eat it, a hot dog's delicious.
All right, so now I'm with Jeff Little with Torqeedo. So Jeff, the question of the week is, when is a kayak and when is a kayak a boat?
Let's back up to with Torqeedo. I am still with Torqeedo, but I'm a sales manager for Boondocks. But when is a kayak and when is it a boat? I've been in a lot of boats. I did a lot with John boats when I was with Torqeedo. We have our cruise motors, and I think in terms of a 14-foot John boat, I wouldn't want to take a double-bladed paddle and paddle the John boat, right? Could I do it? Yes. But would I want to? No. And maybe that's the delineation. Can you paddle whatever it is? And I can paddle, or do you want to paddle whatever it is? I don't think I would want to paddle with a double-bladed paddle, a Blue Sky Boatworks Angler 360, right? It was designed differently, and I wouldn't want to paddle it. Could I? Yeah. Could I use a sup paddle and do it? Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's the delineation. Can you paddle it with a double-bladed paddle or not? And yeah, some of the boats that have been released at this ICAST are ones I wouldn't want to paddle. And I do, and that is not a condemnation of their design. I love the diversity. I love that it's not another 12.5-foot boat that you can put a motor or pedal drive or paddle or all of it. Like, yeah, you can check off some of those boxes. The same thing like when EJ's working with carbon fiber. I applaud the diversity of design. I think we need that for innovation. So I do not condemn those, but I don't think I would paddle two of these boats that came out here at ICAST. They're motor only, and I don't know. Maybe I don't think they're a kayak, but that doesn't mean that I hate them. That's it.
All right, follow-up question.
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh. No, I think the hot dog is just hot dog. I mean, you can make that argument. It's something that, meat between two. Yeah, no, I get it. Does the fact that it's U-shaped, that's a more interesting question, actually. Is a hot dog a sandwich? No, it's a hot dog.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
All right, so we are here with Mike, the Basquatch hunter, and the question of the week is, when is a kayak And when does a kayak become a boat?
All right, so this is opinion based here, and I'm sure there's plenty of different opinions, but to me, a kayak is mobile, it's manageable, it's on the smaller side. So for me, like my 10-foot, 12-foot kayaks that are pedal drives are still kayaks, but once you put them into a 13-foot space, once they're over 150 pounds, once they become motorized, I feel like it comes a small boat. I would say the motor is a defining factor from a boat to a kayak, but also the size and the ability and the maneuverability. Once you get into like a 150-pound kayak, which I do have one of those too, to me it's a plastic boat. It's more of a John boat format than it is a kayak. Kayak should be maneuverable, lightweight, and not motorized.
All right. Follow-up question.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Hot dog is not a sandwich unless it's surrounded by bread completely. So submarine is different than a sandwich.
So now we're here with Alex. He's got a great YouTube channel out there covering all kinds of fun things. A lot of experience in kayaks. So Alex, my question of the week is, when is a kayak and when is a kayak a boat?
I decided to call them fishing kayaks. That's it. To me, like the new Bona 5 STR 130, that's a fishing kayak because you could go fishing. Kayaks stopped being kayaks a very, very long time ago. If you want the original kayak, I mean, you're gonna have to go hunting and get some bones, I don't know. We cannot make them like that anymore. So now we got fishing kayaks. You could also call them small plastic boats, but they're just amazing. And there's so many options out there that you get what fits you. You do you. That's what I think.
All right. My follow-up question, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Depends how hungry you are.
All right, now here I am with Ott Defoe. So Ott, the question of the week is, when is a kayak still a kayak?
Okay.
And when does a kayak become a boat?
When does a kayak become a boat? You know, you'd almost say as soon as you put it in the water, because then it's floating. You know, so to me, a boat that's floating, you know, you got a vessel at that point. But honestly, man, I think once you put any kind of an electronic motor, in my opinion, if it's not manually driven, it's not a paddle or it's not with some flippers, to me at that point you got a boat. Okay. You know, that's kind of what I feel like. Parker has a little plastic pond boat. I call it a boat because it's got a trolling motor on the back. You can put one on the front. Right. You know, you could even put a little gas motor, I guess, on the back of it. But in my mind, once you put some type of electric or fuel propulsion, is that how you say that? Propulsion?
Propulsion, yeah.
Once you put that on it, to me, you've got a boat at that point. You know, it's just, I mean, otherwise a P-row, like what the Cajuns use, that would be a kayak. Okay. You know, so to me, yeah, you've got a boat then.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's my follow-up question.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? I'll see why you didn't tell me that one first. Well, the hot dog by itself is not, because it's just a piece of meat. So once you put it on a bun, I mean, is a cheeseburger a sandwich? Let me ask you that.
I would say a hamburger's a sandwich. Most people would say a hamburger's a sandwich.
A hamburger's a sandwich. So, but no, a hot dog, even in a bun, is not a sandwich. It's a bread taco.
A bread taco.
That's what you've got there. You've got a bread taco. So yeah, no, a hot dog's not a sandwich.
Perfect. All right, now I'm with Chuck Earls. So the question of the week here, based on what we've seen with the evolution of kayaks, is when is a kayak still a kayak? And when is a kayak a boat?
Well, technically, a kayak is a boat. Even a simple paddle kayak, it's still a water vessel. So, you know, at the end of the day, a kayak is a boat. A boat maybe not be a kayak. When you get into a rig like I have built, I still wouldn't consider it a boat for a couple of reasons. So, last week we had 4 boats go down on Lake Erie, sink. And unfortunately, 2 people did not make it. So when I look at a boat, there's a point when you're fishing on a boat that you can't fix the problem. You just need rescue. And of course, you know, in a kayak, I guess if you get a crack or something like that, it starts leaking, you can't pump the air out fast enough, you could be in that situation as well. But in a kayak, we're so much more prepared for it because we have the gear that we needed. If the kayak flips over, we know how to flip it back over. We know how to get back in it. We're dressed for the swim. We have VHF radios and personal locator beacons. And at the end of the day, if we are taking a little bit of water on, we can pump it out real quick. It's no big deal. But that's a pretty rare occasion compared to the boat world. You know, so like for me personally out on Lake Erie, when I go on somebody's boat, I am much less comfortable than going miles offshore on my kayak because I know in the kayak, I'm 100% prepared. I can save myself and I can continue fishing or go back to the shoreline. You know, on a boat, even a brand new boat, you know, there's a lot of potential problems. Going too fast, hitting a deadhead, or a giant log in the water, and then entering the water without your life jacket on because most of them are under the seat somewhere in the boat. So, I don't know. I guess for me, that's basically the separating factor between what is a kayak and what is a boat.
All right. So I have a follow-up question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
All right, now we're with Brian with the Florida Wildlife Commission, or
Florida Fish and Wildlife
Florida
Conservation Commission. It's
Thank
a
you.
long name.
It is, it is.
Or just FWC.
FWC. All right, so the question of the week is, when is a kayak still a kayak, and when does a kayak become a boat?
Kayaks are always going to be a vessel by definition. So it's something that's used, designed for, or capable of being used for transportation. So if it's powered with a motor, it's just a motorized vessel. If it's human powered, then it's a human powered vessel.
All right. My follow-up question is a hot dog a sandwich?
To me, a hot dog is a sandwich, but I don't even think about that. It just tastes good.
All right, we are here at the Dakota Lithium booth with Stormy. And Stormy, the question of the week has been, when is a kayak still a kayak, and when does a kayak become a boat?
I think with the evolution of kayak fishing, and the powering of kayaks that Dakota Lithium has been the leader of probably for the last 7 years, I think when we go from electric motor to a gas motor, we're calling it a boat.
All right. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, a hot dog is a hot dog.
All right.
Hello, my name is Jessica Hayes, and I am the Director of Public Relations with U.S. Angling.
All right, so the question of the week has been, when is a kayak, and when does a kayak become a boat?
Okay, this is a difficult question to answer, but this will be my answer. I helped put up a kayak pool once at a Bass Pro Shop store, and as we were putting in the kayaks, I said, let's put in the boats, guys, and a little kiddo said to me, those aren't boats, those are kayaks. And I thought to myself, no, it's a boat, because if it floats, it's a boat. So that's my answer.
All right. Follow-up question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, I don't think so, because it's just not. It's a hot dog.
I hope you enjoyed those different perspectives on kayaks versus boats. For me, whatever gets you out on the water, that's the most important thing, right? That's what we're trying to do, is get people out fishing, enjoying time with their family and their friends. Now, kayak tournament fishing is a whole different thing. And there probably does need to be some different definitions. Maybe we go to classes of paddle onlys and single motors and dual motors, but the tournament directors are the ones going to have to work that out. Otherwise, we are getting people into the sport. I want to thank everybody. I had a great time with these interview questions and getting everybody's opinion. Go to the comments, put your comments there. Let me know what you think. And if you like this, like it, subscribe to the channel. I've got some other good stuff coming out here soon, and we'll see you next time.